Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth. Happy New Year. It is, of course, that time of year when we take a look at the past, figure out what worked and what didn't work, and make changes for the future. And one of the areas in which we do that tends to be the journals that we use. If you follow along on my YouTube channel, you know that I use various journals for various reasons throughout the year. And there will be a video I make later on, probably in a couple of weeks, about the journals I'm going to be using for 2018. But today's video specifically has to do with the idea of bullet journaling. Now, I do morning pages, and I do them in these 99-cent, I think they're 69-cent composition books from Walmart. Okay, so I go through several a year. So this is 2007 volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. I'm starting out 2008 volume 1 in this same book because I've got some pages in the back, and it's morning pages. They're private, no one sees them, so I just go ahead and use the same book. There's not much decoration. Really, this is a way, for those of you who know about morning pages, you know why I do these. And if you are not familiar with that, please do a search and just, there's thousands, if not millions of videos about what they are and how people, why they do them and how they're useful. Now, I don't, as I've said before, I don't do any planning or scheduling in my journals. I do all of that electronically. But one of the things that I have noticed is I started bullet journaling a couple of years ago, and I do them in my morning pages because, like I said, I don't need a lot of space because most of that happens electronically. But one of the things I've realized is because I go through several of these journals in a year, a lot of information that I want to have easy access to is kind of archived in older journals, right? So it's kind of hard to look at a year at a glance in one place. They tend to be spread out, and I have to do a little bit of work to make that happen. So one of the things that I'm changing for this year, my morning pages will continue to remain in these composition books, but I'm going to have a journal that is specifically a bullet journal. Again, a functional journal. These journals are not decorative. They're not pretty. It's really fun to go look at planner videos online. I am as guilty as the rest of you. It's really nice to see these beautifully decorated pages. That is just not me. I have decorated pages, but those tend to be in different journals. Morning pages are a workhorse for me. Nothing pretty. It's all about getting some stuff out of my head. So what I decided to do when I made the decision to go ahead and use a bullet journal is figure out, what am I going to use? There are so many different kinds of books available on the market. You know, you can buy ones that are specifically, they're labeled bullet journal. People use the Leuchtturm 1917, Moleskine. I mean, okay, there are millions of books. Journals, you can pick the one that makes the most sense for you. I did not want to make a big investment in money because I wasn't sure that this was going to be something that I continued with. I'm just trying an experiment this year to see if this will work for me. So when I was at Michael's the other day, I found these journals. They're new in the store as far as I'm concerned. They are, let me just get that out of the way. See if this will focus. It's the Artist Loft journals. They come in dot, square, lined, and blank journals, if I'm not mistaken. They're 6 by 8 inches, and they've got 249 pages. Now, it cost $5, right? So to me, that's always a worthwhile experiment when something is that cheap. I don't have a big outlay of money, and then I feel like, why did I waste that money? So here it is. This is the journal I'm going to be using, this Artist Loft one. The paper's pretty thin. It has a coating, not quite Tomoe River, but it kind of has this coating. So I wanted to do a pen test. I always go to the back of the journal and just figure out how many squares are there. I went with a dot grid, so I just wanted to see how many dots there were across the spread. And I tried the classic pen test, and the paper's not great, but for for what I'm going to be using it for, it works. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not great. The only things that really bled across were the Sharpie fine point, which almost any journal, that's going to bleed. And then I have a very old fountain pen that is got an incredibly broad nib. So that lays down quite a bunch of ink when I write with it. But for the pens that I'm going to be using in this book, it works just fine. And the pens specifically I'm using are the two that I'm thinking about right now. One is the Lamy Safari and in fine with carbon ink, and my G2 pen in black. So these two pens, neither one of which bleed. I've also used the Micron in here, and that doesn't bleed as well. So that's kind of nice. The only thing to note with this one, or this paper, is the G2 ink does take a little bit of time to dry. So as I was using it, one of the things I noticed is there was a little bit of smudging, but again, I don't care, okay? So here's how this is set up. It's got the classic index pages, which are blank at the moment. And the way I've set this up is I'm assuming I'm going to be able to use more than 1 year in this book. So I'm just kind of setting up a page for 2018. I have my one little word for this year, which is savor. I have a kind of a blueprint for life, the kinds of things I want to pay attention to this year on a consistent basis. So I kind of have some of those written down. I have a 2018 goals. Now, again, a lot of the information that goes into these kinds of work journals for me are workhorse journals, if you will, are more, they contain a lot of private information. So I tend not to share that. So I wanted to make this video with everything that is blank, so you could kind of see how I'm setting it up, and then I can go ahead and put in the actual information. So this is for 2018 goals. There's a master's list that's going to go here. Here's kind of a January calendar. Again, I don't use this for either scheduling or planning. It's just sometimes I like to track certain projects in one page, and so this helps me kind of track them. There's a section for the goals, and my plan, as always, is to kind of have, there's a goal list, about 5 goals that I set at the beginning of the year, and then each month I have about 5 goals that I set for the month, and then I have content that I'm creating for, uploading my blogs, my social media, my Instagram, YouTube, all of that kind of stuff. A brain dump page, because sometimes this is the only journal I have with me. It's just easy to jot something down while I'm thinking about it. Savory bits. This is not a gratitude log. I keep a gratitude log, and I keep that in my morning pages. It's just part of my routine when I do my morning pages. This one is more, my word this year is savor. And so it's actually paying attention and kind of jotting down some of the things that were really fun or, savory that particular day. So this is going to be for the month. And then I come into my weeks. Now, if you are at all familiar, like I said, there's millions of people who do planning. Most of this information or inspiration for how I'm set up comes primarily from 2 sources online. One is Victoria at Femhead. She's on YouTube. And the other one is a woman by the name of Yukiko Sakamura. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Also on YouTube. If you have not checked out the planning videos, particularly that these 2 women put out, I would highly recommend it. They are all about all about function, not form, right? So yes, they're really cool to look at, but you can tell that these 2 women actually use their planners and their bullet journals, in one woman's case, the Hobonichi system, to actually do work, not to just make pretty pages, which I really appreciate. So I'll leave links to both of them down below. Please go check them out and get inspired yourself. So here's the day spreads, the week spreads, and this is basically how I have them set up for the month of January, okay? So that's kind of there. January's all set up. I have a section for my goals. Again, the 1 to 5 goals I'm focused on that week that tie back to my month goals, which tie back to my year goals. See how that works? Then I've got the days of the week, And again, what goes in here is not necessarily planning so much as tracking, making sure that I'm on task for some of the things that are going to get me to the goals that I am going to have set, as well as I'm thinking about adding this year. I read a lot of books, for example. I have that written in my morning pages, and I have that on my Goodreads account. I'll leave a link to that down below if you want to go check that out. But it'd be kind of fun to have, go look at a spread like this and not just see the kinds of things that were registering for me that day, but also maybe the book I was reading that particular day and that particular week and that particular month. We shall see. So this journal comes with 2 bookmarks. I think there's a Bear and Fig idea that this is basically, emulating. So it's kind of the same size from what I've seen online. So one of the bookmarks I'm using for my daily spread, the other bookmark I'm using for my month overview, the month calendar overview. And then I have 2 places that I tend to go to regularly. One is this one, because my plan is, the way the schedule works for me, or the way my process works, is I get up in the morning, after I brush my teeth, I'm having my tea, my warm water tea. I first sit down and knock out my morning pages. Once that's done, I come and take a look at this page, which is basically, here's what what's the word I'm looking for? Here's where I'm setting my intentions, if you will, for the year. Okay, the kinds of things that I'm focusing on for the year. So I'm using these little paper clips. I honestly don't remember where I got them. I think they were holiday themed, but I'm just keeping them here because it'll be an easy way for me to come back and find that particular page at the beginning of each day, right? So I'm going to go ahead and finish my morning pages, come back here, look at my goals for 2018, look at my words, look at what my blueprint is, refresh myself, really, okay? Then I'm going to go to the savory bit. So this is the other page I want to be able to have an easy tab that gets me here to kind of jot down my savory tip. And then after that is when I look at my week, my day, and kind of schedule things out. So I know someone's going to ask me this question, so let me just answer it now. This particular stencil that I'm using for the text in here is, again, it's so old I don't remember. I think it came in a package of stencils. I really like the script kind of text that it has. I'm not sure that's going to show up, but it's nice and simple. It's nice and light. I stick it in the back of the journal, and so it's always there. I've actually used this in several travel journals, and if you take a look at my channel, you'll see this script, both uppercase and lowercase, show up again and again. I just kind of like the script. So that's it. That's basically how I'm going to be set up for the year. I will let you know if I make any changes, but I don't really see, I think there's, all the collections and stuff is going to show up in there as per normal. There's going to be no decoration. And then as I say that, I'm on a page with washi. The only reason there's washi tape here is I realized my G2 pen took a little longer to dry. So as I was drawing these lines, it bled. So there's a bit of smearing of ink, and I'm like, fine, I'll cover it up and move on, and, we're done. So that's it. Here, you can see, I'm not sure it'll pick up on the camera, but you can see some of the places a bit of smearing happened. If you actually used the carbon ink, it dries instantly, no problem. If you use a micron pen, it dries instantly, no problem. Any artist pens, no problem. I just happen to like my G2s. I like how they write, so these are the 2 I'm playing with. So that's essentially it. That's the bullet journal system that I will be using for 2018. In a separate book, which is unusual for me. And so you already know that 2 of the journals that I will be using this year are these composition books for my morning pages and this Artist Loft book for my bullet journal, right? Nice. It's just nice and small and compact. There will be others. They always are. So if you'd like to stay informed or be updated when I actually post videos about the journals that I am using this year, please subscribe and let me know. if you have any questions or comments, if you are bullet journaling and or have videos of the journals you're planning on using in 2018, I would love to see them. I'm always curious about what journals people are going to be using. Are you a morning pages person? Are you a bullet journal person? Do you keep artist journals? What do you do? I would love to see. Please leave links for them down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.